Let us do classwork 4 quickly. Classwork 4 says that Veristar Limited has an authorized share capital of 2 million. The company was founded on the 1st of March 2016, and we are given extract from the statement of financial position for the year ended 28 February 2019. And the ordinary share capital was 3.5 million. Note that that 3.5 million will simply be a closing balance for the year ended February 28 February 2019. I don't know whether that 28th February 2019 is the end of the current year or is the end of the previous year. Transactions will inform me if it's the end of the current year. Now it says under transactions, 35% of shares were in issue at the beginning of the financial year. Again, that simply tells me how many shares were in issue at the beginning of the financial year, but it's not telling me that if that 3.5 is an opening balance or closing balance. So I'll go to the next transaction quickly just to check if that 3.5 is opening or closing because I need it. It's very important. Is it I start with it or I end with it? It's one of those two. And the second transaction says that the company issued 500,000 shares at 500 cents per share on the 31st of March 2019. Now, the 31st of March 2019 is after the 28th of February 2019. That simply confirms the fact that that 3.5 million rand that I'm given as an extract from the statement of financial position is actually the balance at the beginning of the financial year. Now I can start recording. When I record, I will start with my authorized share capital, and the number of authorized shares in this case will be 2 million. Now, under issued, I will simply start with the number of shares that we issued at the beginning of the financial year by taking 2 million, multiplying it by 35%, and that will give me 700,000. Now, that 700,000 shares were issued, but share capital raised from that 700,000 shares was 3.5 million. The second transaction said I issued 500,000 shares at 500 cents per share. So I will simply write 500,000 and additional shares issued at 500 cents per share. And that will simply give me 2,500,000. The next transaction said I'm issued 200,000 additional shares on the 1st of August 2019 for 10 Rand per share. So I will simply take that 200,000 and multiply it by 10 Rand, it will simply give me 2 million in total. Those are additional shares that were issued on the 1st of March 2019. On the 1st of Feb, which is the beginning of the end of the financial year, the beginning, which is simply at the beginning of the month, the Feb month, which also is the end of the financial year. At the end of 28th of Feb will simply be the end of the financial year. Now, all we do here, we bought back 70,000 shares at 6 Rand 60 per share. That 6 Rand 60 per share, it's simply the price, it's the buyback price. And you cannot put the buyback price in your ordinary share capital mode. The only thing that can go into ordinary share capital mode is the average price per share. So all I'm going to do is to put that 70,000 in brackets, and I will simply say these are the shares that were bought back at, but I can't complete the at until I have calculated the average price per share. For me to calculate the average price per share, I'm going to take this whole share capital here divided by those number of shares that were issued before the buyback. It is simply share capital before the buyback divided by the number of shares issued before the buyback. So my numerator will be 3.5 million plus 2.5 million plus 2 million. Those are in rands. That is your share capital divided by 700,000 shares plus 500,000 shares plus 200,000 shares. And that will simply give me my average price per share is 5 Rand 71, which I'll just put it there as the buyback price, and we'll simply put that buyback price in brackets, which is 399,700. At the end, the number of shares issued will be 1.3330, and the share capital raised from that will simply be 3.5 plus 2.5 plus 2 million minus 399,700 my share capital at the end of the financial year will be 7,600,000 to 600,300. Now, when you calculate your average price per share, you will take that 7,600,300 divided by 1,330,000, and that will give you 571, which is the same as the same average price as the average price per share when those shares were bought back. Now prepare the table that tells you which amount will go where. We'll start with your share capital, the cost of your original amount of shares that you received from the shareholders was 571. Multiply this by the number of shares that were bought back. It'll give you the value. The value will simply be 399,700, which is your ordinary share capital. You will go to your ordinary share capital note and you will put it in brackets in your ordinary share capital note. The amount of money that will go out of your bank will simply be what you paid. And we paid 6 Rand 30. Multiply that by the number of shares bought back. It'll give you the total amount we've paid in cash, which is your cash outflow, as it will be reflected in the cash flow statement, and that amount will be deducted from your cash and cash equivalent. If you have an overdraft, unfortunately, it'll get you deeper into overdraft. Now, these shares, we received 5 Rand 71 for them, but we are paying 6 Rand 30 for them, meaning that we are paying more than what we received. Therefore, we are making a loss. That loss will be recorded in your retained income note. And the loss will be 5 Rand 71 minus 6.3. It will give you 0.59. And that loss will be recorded in your retained income as a loss due to buyback, and therefore it's a loss. It will be shown in brackets in your retained income note. It will come immediately after your profit, your net profit after tax. So we normally have a balance at the beginning of the year, net profit after tax, and then you'll have loss or profit due to buyback. If it's profit, you don't put it in brackets. If it's a loss, you will have to put it in brackets. All right. In the next video, we'll be discussing dividends. We will simply be discussing dividends, and just go and find out what dividends are, why do we have dividends, what type of dividends we've got, and that will be dealt with in the next video.